I'll interview myself. Okay, first question. What inspired you to write these particular books? What I have written is the Five Realms trilogy with its companion novella, The Restless King. I started Catching Pathways in 2019. A funny story was that it was actually right after I was diagnosed with ADHD and I got onto my ADHD meds. I started writing like crazy again. I have been writing since I was a little girl. Yeah, it's been a while. Not so little anymore. And so I got on my ADHD meds in early 2019. And within about 8 months, I had written, edited, and published Catching Pathways. It would be this one, the first one, with my two characters on the cover. That's Maeve and that's Roden. What inspired me to write the stories was that the protagonist being pulled into another world. And I always wanted to know, like, well, what happens after they grow up? What happens, especially if what they found out what they were doing was wrong? And that's really the central question of the first part of the book here, that Maeve, who has been pulled through to the realm since she was a teenager, did this whole epic quest to dethrone the current Fae King and put in a human sorcerer that was her friend. Well, and then it ends up that he went completely fucking batshit, and so Mr. Deposed King here comes together and is like, you done fucked up. Okay, let's see if we can fix this. What do I hope readers are going to take away from my books? My primary motivation for writing is to entertain people, to provide the escape that one needs in order to remain sane in the current climate. I really hope, honestly, that readers take away kind of a sense of, like, no matter what you've done, no matter who you are, there's always the ability to change, and there's always the ability to do better. What's one thing I know now that I wish I had known when I started writing? In 30 years, this book is actually my 14th finished novel. You're not going to see the first 12. The 13th one did get published but pulled. It's number 14. Every single book is different. Every single story is different. Every single story has its own demands and its own challenges. I think the primary thing to remember whenever you're engaging with a story is that you're basically engaging with something that's like a living, breathing, sentient creature. And you have to respect it. You have to acknowledge it. You need to collaborate with it. I have not had a stable enough life, novel to novel, to know what really works and what doesn't, because my life has been a chaos fest. So, yeah. Did I use an outline, or do I just go by the seat of my pants? I'm an in-betweener with a lot of things. The thing is, though, is that every single time I've actually done like beats, each chapter beat, each scene beat, and I've tried to really just like nail down exactly where this story is going before I actually start writing it. Every single time I do that, I start to write the story, the characters get their own little thoughts in their heads, and off we fucking go. I'm what I call a plantser, otter, and a pantser. There is something to me intrinsic in writing that I shouldn't know everything about the story when I first start out. That there should be some things that are surprises to me, because then they'll surprise you. How many drafts did I go through to get to the finished product? 3, 6, 10, 5? A lot. What advice would I give to aspiring authors in my genre? Don't be afraid to read what you're writing. Like your genre, the kind of story that you're writing, don't be afraid to read those kinds of stories. Part of why we write what we write is because we enjoy it. So don't lose the joy of enjoying your particular genre, your niche. If I were at a bar right now and I was 4 whiskeys in, what authors would I admit to stealing from? None. We do pick little bits from people and places and things, and I call it gathering. And gathering is when you take any sort of information, stimulus, entertainment, all of that, and you're condensing it down into you, and through you, you are creating more stuff. I'm a firm believer we all kind of recycle material. In that process of chewing it up, regurgitating it, whatever, we're imprinting something particularly us onto it. Is there a particular scene or passage in my books that I'm particularly proud of? Yeah, there is. ending of the first book. Yeah. My betas were reading this when I first was considering publishing it, everything. I actually had one beta reach out to me as they were going through it, and they were like, hey, I just got to scene, I need to know, does it work out like this or does it work out like that? You need to spoil this for me right now or I'm not going to continue. This was before they knew who I was. And so you need to have faith. I give you a happily ever after. Okay? I do. I give you a happily ever after. I just take you on a bit of a fucking journey to get there. What passages and sections of the books gave me the most difficulty to write? This difficulty came in like this whole fucking thing. This is Catching Shadows. This is the finale. It went through a lot of drafts. I think I wrote close to 500,000 words for this novel. And most of it was really difficult. When I went from book 2 to book 3, I was basically like, I hope you enjoyed all of your reprieves, because in book 3, it's just going to be balls to the walls fucking crazy. What surprising discoveries did you make during your writing process? Who Maeve's daddy ends up being was kind of a big surprise for me. He's an interesting character for sure. He actually has a couple chapters in the third book. How has my writing evolved since I first started publishing? I think that my writing constantly evolves and has constantly evolved since I started writing when I was 8. I have some trouble going back to my old work because I'm like, ooh, but I did put a lot of effort into each of my actual books, like when it comes to looking back at like my old writing, if I'm looking back at a manuscript that I made back in 2006 or something like that, I'm like, cringe, oh fuck, that's a manuscript, that's a first draft. Whereas something like this, it went through multiple rounds of editing, multiple rounds of like feedback and changes and that sort of thing. I actually can reread these, and I do. To me, it seems a little egotistical to be like, yeah, I read my own books, but I'm like, it's a series, so I need to make sure that I remember what the fuck I wrote. Do I think about an audience or do I write primarily for myself? I'd say when I first started, when I was very young, I was definitely writing for myself. Most of my life, up until about high school, when I started to share my work with other people and started to post writing online. At which point I did start to take in feedback from other people. It was great at first because it really helped me improve my writing. Now, with the actual fully published books, I did write them with the idea of writing something popular or interesting or entertaining. I wanted something that would entertain people. My main motivation and my main hope when it comes to someone that's read my books or is reading my books is that they are surprised, that they don't see it coming, whatever it is, whatever I've done this time. Which character of these books do I identify the most with? I'm more like Jen. Jen's like a loudmouth, swearing, queer, fun person. I don't know. I like her a lot. So I would identify more with her, I think, than with my main character. My main character does go through some stuff that is very reminiscent of my own life, but she takes it differently. She does different things with it. And honestly, like, she doesn't do what I would have done. I love Maeve. She's a great character. She's a wonderful protagonist to work with. But she has her flaws.